This is the story of Joseph Kabila's rise and fall, told through the battles he fought, the alliances he forged, and the trial that sealed his fate. Joseph Kabila was not supposed to be president. Born on June 4, 1971, in the town of Fizi, in South Kivu province, he grew up in the shadows of rebellion. His father, Erudite Kabila, was a guerrilla fighter, leading insurgencies against the corrupt regimes that had ruled Congo for decades. By the late 1990s, Laurent Kabila, backed by Rwanda and Uganda, had toppled Mobutu Sese Seko, ending 32 years of dictatorship. But his victory was fragile. By 2001, Laurent was struggling to maintain order, his alliances crumbling, and his enemies circling. On the 16th of January 2001, Erudite Kabila was shot dead in his own palace by one of his bodyguards. In the immediate aftermath, chaos threatened to engulf the nation. But from the ashes, a new figure emerged, his son, Joseph. At just 29 years old, Joseph Kabila was sworn in as president. Quiet, reserved, and little known to the public, he inherited a country at war. The Second Congo War, often called Africa's World War, was raging. By the time it ended, it would claim more than 5 million lives, the deadliest conflict since World War II. And yet, Joseph Kabila's arrival was greeted with cautious hope. Here was a soft-spoken leader, a stark contrast to his fiery father. Could he bring peace? Kabila's early years in office were marked by diplomacy. In 2002, he signed the Pretoria Accord, ending major hostilities in the Second Congo War. By 2003, a transitional government brought rebel groups into the fold. For the first time in decades, Congo seemed to have a chance at peace. In 2006, history was made. The Democratic Republic of Congo held its first free elections in over 40 years. Millions lined up to cast their votes. Joseph Kabila emerged victorious, defeating Jean-Pierre Bemba in a runoff. International leaders praised him. At just 35, he was seen as the man who could rebuild a broken nation. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Eastern Congo remained a battlefield. Rebel groups, funded by the plunder of minerals, terrorized civilians. One name would soon dominate the headlines: M23. To understand Joseph Kabila's downfall, we must understand the rebellion that haunted his presidency. The M23, or March 23rd movement, was born in 2012. Its leaders were former fighters of the CNDP, a rebel group that had once been integrated into the Congolese army under a peace deal signed on March 23, 2009. But when they accused Kabila's government of breaking promises, they mutinied, forming the M23. That same year, they swept through North Kivu and captured the city of Goma, a humiliation for Kabila's government. The world watched in shock. Here was the largest city in eastern Congo falling to rebels while the national army fled. Under pressure from the United Nations and international powers, M23 withdrew. But the damage was done. Whispers grew that Kabila's government had played a double game, fighting rebels with one hand, negotiating with them with the other. Throughout his rule, Kabila was accused of tolerating, even benefiting from, the instability in the east. Minerals flowed out of rebel-held territories, enriching elites in Kinshasa and neighboring countries. Meanwhile, ordinary Congolese paid the price: displacement, poverty, and death. By the end of his second term in 2016, Kabila was constitutionally barred from running again. Yet elections were delayed. Protests erupted across the country. Security forces cracked down, killing and jailing opponents. When elections were finally held in December 2018, Kabila stepped aside. The official winner was Felix Tshisekedi, but leaked results suggested opposition candidate Martin Fayulu had actually won. Still, the transition went forward. Kabila retained influence, especially through his political coalition, the Common Front for Congo (FCC), which controlled the Senate. For a time, Kabila and Tshisekedi coexisted in a tense alliance. But by 2021, the partnership collapsed. Tshisekedi accused Kabila loyalists of obstructing reform. By 2023, Kabila had gone into self-imposed exile, reportedly in South Africa. He was fading from the political spotlight, or so it seemed. In April 2025, Joseph Kabila made a surprising announcement. He said he wanted to help mediate the conflict in eastern Congo. Weeks later, he appeared in Goma, a city then under the control of the M23. For the government in Kinshasa, this was the final straw. President Felix Tshisekedi accused Kabila of being the true architect behind the rebellion. The Senate stripped Kabila of his immunity in May 2025, paving the way for prosecution. To many Congolese, the symbolism was powerful. The former president, once the nation's unifier, was now seen walking side by side with rebels who had tormented the people. For others, it was a setup, a political trap to destroy Tshisekedi's most dangerous rival. In June 2025, Joseph Kabila was formally charged. The charges were staggering: treason, for colluding with armed rebels; war crimes, for authorizing and enabling massacres; crimes against humanity, including murder, sexual violence, torture, and forced displacement; insurrection, for plotting against the Congolese state. But Kabila never appeared in court. From exile or from rebel-held territory, depending on the reports, he denied all charges, calling the trial a farce. His lawyers boycotted several sessions, claiming the process violated due process. Yet the court pressed on. The key figure in the prosecution was General Sylvain Bayo, the military prosecutor, who presented evidence of financial transfers and testimonies linking Kabila to M23 commanders. The presiding judge, Colonel Jean-Claude Lubanga, a stern military magistrate, kept the proceedings tight, even as critics called them politically choreographed. On the 30th of September, 2025, the verdict was read aloud. Joseph Kabila was found guilty on all counts. The sentence, death by firing squad. Gasps echoed across the courtroom. Outside, Kinshasa erupted. Some celebrated justice, others wept at what they saw as a political assassination by other means. The verdict reverberated far beyond Congo. Neighboring Rwanda, long accused of backing M23, rejected claims of involvement but watched events closely. Uganda remained silent. The United Nations expressed concern, urging respect for human rights and warning against further escalation. Human rights organizations condemned the use of the death penalty and the trial in absentia. Within Congo, reactions were divided. Victims of rebel violence hailed the ruling as long overdue accountability. But Kabila's loyalists accused Tshisekedi of weaponizing the courts to eliminate a rival. The streets of Kinshasa and Lubumbashi buzzed with debates. Was this justice or vengeance? Joseph Kabila ruled for 18 years. He presided over Congo's first democratic elections, but also its most violent conflicts. He brought peace agreements, but also left behind accusations of corruption, authoritarianism, and warlord politics. His legacy is a paradox. A president who promised peace, yet whose name is now tied to war crimes. A leader who handed over power peacefully, yet who stands accused of conspiring to destabilize the very nation he once led. History has a way of judging leaders long after their reign ends. For Joseph Kabila, that judgment has come swiftly and with the harshest penalty possible. But questions linger. Was this truly justice, or history rewritten by political rivals? Was Kabila the architect of Congo's endless wars, or a scapegoat for a nation still bleeding from wounds decades old? One truth remains undeniable. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is still searching for peace. And in its pursuit of justice, it has condemned one of its most powerful sons. From the palace to the courtroom, Joseph Kabila's journey is a reminder. In the Congo, power is never permanent. It is fragile, fleeting, and when misused, deadly.